standing for a moment of silence? Lost a very dear teacher last week. I knew Lori Bonnier back in the 70s when we first met the family. Privileged to meet the family. Went to school with her brothers and sister. And she's going to be missed. Lori Huggard, who was our teacher over Fulmer Road, wonderful teacher, wonderful human being, passed away last week. Just ask that you hold her in our hearts right now. Thoughts and prayers for the family. It's got to be very difficult. Way too young. She passed away way too young. Thank you. So you see, there's a gentleman down here on the lower end of the auditorium over here, of the stage. His name is Superintendent Frank Neely. Introduce Frank, and he's got some nice things going on here. So Frank, take it away.
Okay, so first and foremost, any teachers that are in here, administrators, there will be school tomorrow. There will be a 2-hour delay. You will not hear from me at all. No remote learning or any other kind of learning. Tracy Casey, anyone else. Okay, so hopefully you can hear me. We have gone through some tough times as far as the snow. I'm sure at 3 o'clock, 3:30, while you're daydreaming, I've had the privilege of talking to a lot of important people. And tonight we're going to honor 2 of them, and as well as their staff. So please bear with me. Give me something to read, so I'm going to read it. And then, being Frank Neely, I'll say a few things myself. Okay, so the first one, appreciation of the Carmel Highway Department, Superintendent Michael Stern. We'd like to take this opportunity to recognize the outstanding work your team does in keeping our streets clean and maintaining our roads to such a high standard. Your department's dedication and commitment play an important role in supporting our community, keeping our students safe, and we are honored to acknowledge your efforts publicly. So if you could come forward, and if any of your workers in there, if they could come forward, please. Frank. First of all, to my right, I don't want to say I had all of these gentlemen. I don't think I had all of them, but I did have 5 of them as students. If I stay any longer, there'll be a few more. But at 3 o'clock, 3:30, when you make a phone call, and you try to make some decisions, which are not easy, one of the first calls is to Mike, and he lets me know if we can go. And he tells me, hey, we got our roads clean, you're salted, or he'll tell me, no, it doesn't look good. And there's been a couple of dicey situations. So I can't thank Mike and his crew, and if you're going through our town roads, they've been awesome. And like I said, I can't really make these decisions. And if I look bad, it's not my fault. Okay, so this year, I think I was okay. I think it was like 11 for 11. That's pretty good in baseball terms. Okay, which, I was a good hitter. Genevieve thought he was a good hitter. When he played for me, he wasn't. But, so in closing, I can't thank them enough for everything they do. When they're out there, 10, 15 hours plowing and doing things they do, we're very appreciative. Okay? Thank you. Bear with me. The next group, Adam Rubin, appreciation of our facilities department, Adam Rubin, our Director of Facilities, and the dedicated custodial, grounds, maintenance, transportation teams for their hard work in preparing our campus. That's another gentleman that I was on the phone with really early, and he would tell me that our school is clean, it's salted, we can come in. Like I said, there was only a couple of dicey moments. So I would like to bring up Mr. Rubin and anyone else.
Anybody who's here from the snow removal team?
You can come up forward or stand up. At this time, I'd like to bring up Melissa Murray.
All right, we're on budget presentation number 3. So we have a couple departments presenting tonight. So just a little bit of the timeline. So we've had the budget request. In January, we had a couple of budget presentations then. In February, we had more and a bunch of revenue slides to get to the state aid and tax levy. And so now we have more budget presentations from departments. So these are the superintendent's recommendations as budget priorities. So maintain all academic programs and extracurricular activities, expand opportunities for high school curriculum pathways, continue the district's bus replacement schedule, and balance the needs of the educational program with fiscal needs of the community. So we have a graph on enrollment. So right now, we're as of December, we're at 3,886 students. As you can see, that number has steadily decreased, but not much of a decrease. So in terms of budgeting, what that means is mostly in terms of staffing. Our staff has pretty much stayed the same. You can even see there was an increase a couple years ago, so not a drastic decrease here. So this is our projected enrollment for next year. So all I do here is I bring every grade up a level, and then for kindergarten we keep it the same as it is this year, and also use the UPK numbers to look at that too, and then also live birth ratio data from the county. So what you can see here is our district's total is only going down about 59 students, and give or take, students move in, move out, so it's not a very big decrease here. This is our elementary class size and sections. So the way that you read this is if you look at the first column of Austin Road, you'll see in kindergarten 17, so that means the average class size is 17 students. And then as you read it all the way across, total sections, so that means for kindergarten in every elementary school, we have a total of 14 sections. So I worked with Ms. Pontillo on this, and we try to make sure that our staffing levels are appropriate for the following year based on retirements, any extra enrollment, class sizes, all of that. So right now, we're looking at a neutral in terms of sections. So that means you don't have to hire or get rid of the staff members in the elementary school level. So now I'll bring up Ms. Volpe for transportation.
Thank you for inviting me to this board presentation. I'm the supervisor of transportation. We're just going to go by the budget for this school year, upcoming school year, that is. So this, our district highlights, we operate and maintain 100 vehicles. Last year we traveled over a million miles. We transport over 26 out-of-district schools. We have done up to date 500 plus field trips and sports trips. We have 700 requests for daycares and job alternate sites. Most of our buses we're doing really good as far as keeping the fleet a little younger. So 24 of our buses are 11 plus years. 19 are between 8 and 10 years, 13 are between 6 and 7 years, and 44, which is a good number, 1 to 5 years. Just so that you know that when our buses are not in use and when they're out of passenger seat, we try to see if the district will use them to utilize them during the campus. A summary of maintenance. Newer buses between the ages of 0 to 10 years old are still within the manufacturing warranty. Department of Transportation Agency, the DOT, is always on our premises once a week. Our district team of auto mechanics and work on buses daily for preventive maintenance. DOT inspections and responses to accidents. So this is just a chart of how many buses we have disposed of and how many we have replaced. So we're just 2 plus for this past year.
So just to add to what Ms. Volpe said, right now we're looking to purchase 10 diesel buses that'll be on the ballot for this year. It's what we've been doing for the past few years. It's a bus replacement plan. We have this plan in place because, as many know, the state right now is mandating that we transfer our fleet to electric. Right now, 2027 is the cutoff to stop buying diesel buses. So as Ms. Volpe said, we have newer buses because we're trying to bulk up our fleet of diesel buses, so we're not in a rush to buy EV buses on the next few years, and then we can kind of spread it out. So like I said, we're looking to purchase 1 30-passenger bus, 2 20-passenger buses, and 7 65-passenger buses for a total cost of $1.6 million, and that'll be on the ballot. So here is a look at transportation in totality. I'll just kind of go over a couple things. So one of the biggest takeaways here is that equipment, it did increase a lot, only because we're looking to purchase radios this year. So right now we're leasing our radios, and also in conjunction with safety. Troy Billy will get into it a little bit more, but right now we're leasing radios. We want to purchase radios because the cost benefit is going to outweigh the lease. So in the first year, which is 26-27, we'll buy radios for transportation, and then moving forward, because we already purchased them, we won't have to buy any more next year. It'll just be maintenance that we'll have, that you'll see. So that number will decrease a lot. So again, the big increase is because of that. And then also you see contractual, there's an increase because of the radio transition as well, just to kind of get us on board for that. So when you look at the total, most of everything else is neutral, but you'll see that big increase because of that. And now we'll have Troy and Billy come up.
Thank you, good evening. So just a few highlights from this past year. We've seen an increase in security guards at the elementary schools until 8 p.m. at night. And we also brought in an increase in security guards at the high school and reallocated some of the SPOs and removed some of the overtime pay that we were seeing with our SROs. And so it kind of helped that out and created a safer environment until the evening hours. We also worked on our ballistic shields through Diamond Defense. We put in strategic locations throughout the district. We are working, and it's still ongoing, ADA compliance with the room labeling for all buildings district-wide. I believe our elementaries are done, and we're hitting the middle school and high schools now. We're also in the process of labeling all exterior doors on both the inside and the outside, and also the windows, so that is also ongoing. Hopefully it'll be done by the end of June. We also, last year, we did 3D imaging with Homeland Security. This year we actually had a meeting with Homeland Security where we brought in Putnam County Sheriff and Carmel PD, and they were able to utilize our 3D imaging for our buildings district-wide. And last piece that Alyssa talked about was the purchase of the radios and repeaters and control stations that will be owned as compared to being leased. So when we look at 26-27, this is what we're asking. There's a little bit of the glass mitigation that we need to work on and ADA signage. The contractual piece goes up by percentage. We're looking at our transportation radios and antenna upgrades in all buses, as well as the purchase of the radios and cataloging them for all buildings. We have some supplies there for security, also BOE services, and then travel and conference. And just in a little comparison here, the big, you see a jump there with security services, and that really is about the additional staff that we have on at night. It's going to be a challenge this upcoming school year to ensure that whenever these buildings are being used, whether it's by MSA or other units, that we have some form of security there. So as a district, we're looking into how we can partner to get that done. You'll see that with the radios. That first column there, 25-26, is $125,000 is what was the annual lease. So when we're purchasing it, you can see that we're purchasing it at $268, 7-year warranty. You do the math, 7 times 125, you'll see the savings that we have district-wide. Similar situation with the transportation radios. And that's about it. Thank you.
Budget information. So the Special Education Department offers quite a continuum of supports for our special education students. Included in this number also, we do have 504 students, and though they are not special education students, their 504 accommodation plans do run through our special ed department, so I did include those numbers here. So the total number of special education and 504 students combined is 1,240. To break that down, 987 are CSE students and 253 are 504 students. Out of the total number of Mahopac students, that's 25% of the students in our district are classified students with IEPs. So that is a high level of support required by the students in this district. Oh, that's the wrong button. Okay, so to break that down a little bit more, these are our in-district special education and 504 numbers. You'll see it's broken down by preschool, each elementary school, middle school, and high school. The numbers stayed pretty steady between last year and this, some programs increasing, some decreasing, but relatively consistent numbers. So those are our in-district special education students. Additionally, we have 2 alternative programs that we offer, the Falls Academy, which is middle school age students, and then the High School Academy for high school students. You'll see the 25-26 numbers there this year, the number of Mahopac students as well as out-of-district students in those programs. We do believe in trying to keep as many of our students in the least restrictive environment, educating our students in district, but there are students who need to be educated in out-of-district placements. So you'll see there we have students in BOCES placements, private, public, and residential, and those numbers have stayed pretty consistent between last year and this year. You'll see on the top right our initial referral number. As of March of this year, we've had 168 referrals for either 504, CPSE, or CSE, so it's keeping our department busy. Some of the highlights from this year, we have implemented the recommendations from the Comprehensive Special Education Quality Review that was completed last year. One of those recommendations was to do Part 200 training for all of our staff, general education and special education teachers, in order to ensure understanding, compliance, and best practices. We've also created a special education ad hoc committee meeting with the board in order to establish and strengthen communication between families and the district. We've created our own community work-based learning program with our high school skills students. Formerly, that was something that we contracted out with different agencies, but we have created our own this year. We're continuing to work toward reducing the number of out-of-district placements. We've opened a Cove Care satellite program here in this building, which is an on-site community-based mental health service to help provide and improve access for our families. And also the Best Buddies program, which was piloted last year, is officially up and running, and that is to promote inclusion, mentoring, and friendships for our students with disabilities and their peers, to name a few. So budget requests for this year, we're seeking 1 additional special education teacher to accommodate the need for a new special education 812 classroom. The incoming CPSE students, we have roughly, and that number is changing, but roughly 10 812 students coming in. We have some room in our in-district classes that we already have, but there is the need to open an additional 812 classroom. So we also need the furniture and educational items associated with that. I'm also seeking to hire our own in-district BCBA, which will be offset by reduced vendor costs. We spend a good amount of money now on BCBAs and behaviorists out of district, so I'd be very happy to hire our own. And then also just the money associated with FAPE 22, which New York State decided that they were going to allow students to remain in school until the day before their 22nd birthday. That used to be the day of their 21st birthday, so there is some additional cost associated with that for our BOCES, private and public, out-of-district students, as well as our in-district students. So contractual numbers have gone down from last year, partly because we've hired some of our own occupational therapists instead of contracting out for that, so that was a good savings. The same thing would happen with a behaviorist, that would decrease that contractual number even more. BOCES special education budget, that number has increased, which it always will every year, but again, keeping in mind that FAPE 22. 4 of our students who would have been graduating are staying for an additional year in BOCES, and those are our high-cost students, so that's that increase. Private tuition, public tuition have stayed relatively close. Travel, conference, material, supplies, all the things we need to run a successful program. So there is a bit of an increase, but all things aside, we kept this budget as reasonable as we could in order to meet the needs of our students. And I think that's it.
Good evening, Board of Education, Mr. Mealy. My honor to lead the Curriculum and Instruction Department. Very humbled and proud of the work that we've done, specifically this year. Amazingly dedicated group of building administrators, our curriculum coaches, 2 literacy coaches on the K-5 side, our math coach, on the 6-12 side, our department chairs, our classroom teachers, and obviously our students. We've had a fabulous year so far, and we still have more to go. So just a quick review of some of the things that we asked for funding for last year and an update as to where we are with all these. So the big purchase last year was our pre-K through 2 purchase of foundations. If you remember back to all my mini lessons on the science of reading and the need for increasing our explicit instruction in literacy, we really hit the ground running this year and have implemented quite a few new programs with outstanding success. Some of the science of reading skills, just to name a few, all the way down to our pre-K students, which is fabulous to walk into their classrooms and seeing them putting their pencil on paper and drawing letters. But on the pre-K side, our students are learning how to form letters, letter recognition, sound mastery, phonological and phonemic awareness. Our kindergarten students are focusing on letter sound, letter formation, also more phonemic awareness, identifying sounds in CBC blends. Our first grade students further developing their phonemic awareness, their alphabetic skills, sound mastery, introducing trick words, and our grade 2 students focusing on advanced word study, including syllable types, spelling patterns, and vocabulary development. It's been an excellent addition to our curriculum instruction program. On the 3-5 side, we introduced 2 new programs this school year in response to increasing our explicit instruction in word study and grammar. Our 3-5 students through word study are accelerating their decoding and fluency, are deepening their vocabulary knowledge, are deepening their morphological awareness, improving reading comprehension. Through our grammar program, they're improving writing clarity and precision, they're enhancing reading comprehension, they're building sentence level fluency, supporting diverse learners as well. So those additions have been fabulous and very impactful for our students. We took on a brand new project this year to include a new curriculum called the History of Mahopac, which we did a little review of in our last subcommittee for curriculum. So last summer, through the funding of last year's budget, we had a very dedicated group of teachers come in and put together an initial scope and sequence focusing on the history of Mahopac for K-5 students. Very dynamic, interesting projects, awesome highlighting of our history, all age appropriate, developmental appropriate. Some of the things that our teachers are focusing on through the history of Mahopac, focusing on my community, then and now. The pictures are amazing. Famous places in Mahopac, Mahopac's growth from farms to suburbs, mapping Mahopac, Mahopac's origins and indigenous peoples, Mahopac's role and transformation during the Revolutionary War. So it's really been a fabulous addition. Our kids are enjoying it. I included on this slide a snapshot of one of the bulletin boards in Austin Road from some of our student work, so it's been a lot of fun, and I'm thankful for our teachers and the work that they did this past summer, and we're going to continue that work this summer as well. For a second year in a row, for the second year in a row, our 6th through 8th math teachers got together to further synthesize and align our advanced math program. Again, the goal with that, if you remember back last year, maybe even the year before, was to bring the accelerated math program and stretch it down to 6th grade, allowing for more time in 6th and 7th grade for students to absorb content, become more fluent, show greater proficiency with 6th grade and 7th grade accelerated portions of the curriculum, and dedicate 8th grade to all of algebra, right, and ending in the algebra reading. So excellent work over the summer by our teachers, and the students are definitely reaping the benefits this year. We continued our professional development at the middle school for highly engaging instructional methodologies. We have Sharon Foreman coming in, who's an expert in the TPT model, Total Participation Techniques model of instruction, just further amplifying the need for our students to not only engage with content, engage with each other, and also engaging with the teachers, causing deeper and deeper learning for our students. So curricular coherence, it's a term that all of our teachers and our administrators have heard quite a bit this year, coming from the curriculum instruction department. might be a good agenda topic for one of our subcommittee meetings. I won't go too deep into the research, into the whole thing, but curricular coherence is the driving force from curriculum and instruction to analyze, synthesize our entire K-12 program. And is focused on what we're teaching, how we're assessing it, how we're cycling student instructional data through our curriculum and instruction program. And the reason I want to bring it to your attention is because it is through this very precise and research-based approach, it definitely has budget impacts because it highlights our needs, right, in the district. So if you want to be great, and we want to be great here academically, high-performing districts share a common characteristic: dedication to curricular coherence. Coherence in education goes beyond merely aligning curriculum, instruction, and assessment components. It's about ensuring that these components work together seamlessly, creating an educational experience where students and educators flourish. It's been at the heart of our work all year long. I put together the cycle just so you can have it, and we can refer back to it at further meetings, but as complicated as it might look with all these arrows, it's actually more complicated in action, right? But I'll just cycle through it. So it really is a simple cycle, starting with curriculum, right? Taking a very, very strong look at what we teach, how it's aligned to state standards, and what our scope and sequence looks like, and is it aligned by grade across the district, and by content by grade across the district, which goes right into our assessment measures, which we take a continually analyzing. Are our assessment measures measuring what we said we were going to teach? And is it giving us usable data for our teachers to understand student growth? To the right, you see some of the assessment measures that we're using at the elementary, middle, and high school level to gather student growth information. And if you follow that arrow all the way across, you'll see how the assessment information then translates back into the classroom, right, for individual student growth. And the teachers are then able to modify their instruction, modify their lessons, form small groups, reteach, supplemental. Oftentimes, the assessment information that we get goes, in terms of how our students are doing, goes right back to our assessment measures. We take a look again at how we're assessing. Are we assessing the right things? Oftentimes, that information trickles right back into our curriculum, right? And then we adjust our curriculum. So this cycle is in constant motion every single day in our classrooms, and continually talked about. So one of, let me get to the right page here. So budget requests, what are we looking for next year? Well, we want to continue doing all the great things that we're doing. So we're going to continue all the educational program that we currently have in place, K through 12, with one new request at the K2 level, where we're requesting the decodable readers. The decodable readers are the next step in introducing more explicit instruction for our K2 students according to the science of reading. Decodable readers in K2 classrooms provide targeted practice for emerging readers, applying phonics skills, building accuracy and confidence by containing words that follow taught spelling patterns. So we're looking to buy a classroom set for all rooms K through 2, and then one set for grade 3 to share per building. Typically, decoders aren't needed beyond grade 2, but we want to have some on stock just in case there are students in grade 3 that will need them. So again, that is our one request for this school year, which comes from our cycle of curricular coherence, and is definitely the next step for our K2 literacy program in terms of building on the science of reading. Again, as a result of our curricular coherence analytics. We want to continue over this summer to bring, to prepare for the next school year, building on our K-5 math and literacy updates, building on the history of Mahopac, building on the 6-8 scope and sequence and assessments in our core content, building on the 8 through 11 common assessment writing, and starting the very important work of our financial literacy program 8 through 12. That will begin in earnest this summer. I just want to jump back to one bullet. You see that we have common assessments 6 through 8 and 8 through 11. That's a significant step in secondary education. To have common assessments at the secondary level, what we introduced in this year for algebra and biology, where our students are taking the same test every single quarter. The student performance data is then pulled, analyzed by the teachers, put into that cycle to affect student growth, right? And that cycle is repeated every single quarter. The data is then housed in our data warehouse for our teachers to have access to all of the time. I just wanted to highlight that because that's really significant, amazing work by our secondary teachers and our secondary principals to get that up and running. So the budget went down just by a little bit, about $65,000. Much of that is due to last year when we bought foundations, right? That was a pretty big purchase for us this year. We're not looking to buy any new programs this year. We're being very intentional on the resupply of classroom libraries. We put that on pause for this year because we're supporting our classrooms this year with decodable readers. We did our coaches and department chairs do a ton of work in-house, professional development through our curriculum committees. So there's definitely money savings in there as well. So those are some of the reasons why you see a bit of a decrease. Thank you.
So thank you to all our presenters tonight. This is a summary of every presentation we've had so far in each category. So if you were to look back at the past couple of presentations, these numbers align to those slides. So this doesn't include salaries and benefits. This just includes what's been presented by each department. And this whole process, a whole budget cycle so far has been great. Everyone has been very intentional with their spending and making sure that they're making good decisions. So we're going to go over a couple slides that are just super important to the revenue side of everything. We have the state aid. So this is a preliminary governor's proposal. So as you can see, the bottom line is that we increased at 2.78%. And when you look at, and I use that number instead of the 3.86 because I take out universal pre-K because that's not part of our operating budget. That's part of a separate budget. So that's more of a true number, the 2.78%. Some of the biggest takeaways are foundation aid. It went up 1.79% at this point. So that's when all of the formulas and when the business office submits everything to the state, it kind of goes into this formula and then it gives us this number. And then it gets finalized in February, and then when the final budget, which is due on April 1st, we don't usually get it April 1st, but this number could change, but this is what it is for now. And then when you look at the rest of the aid, after UPK, BOCES, high excess costs, instructional materials, all of those things are expense driven, meaning that what we spend is what we get back based on the percentage we're given to by the state, and each percentage is different for each district. So here's the tax levy limit. So this is where I start in each budget cycle. This is obviously the tax levy is a huge part of our revenue, more than 75% of our revenue on top of the state aid I just showed. So just a couple of key points here. This formula is it's a lot of plug and play, meaning that we're given a lot of these numbers. So the tax-based growth factor, that's a number specific to Mahopac. It's based on any residential or commercial growth. We don't have any pilots in Mahopac. And then the biggest factor that we do have here is that we have debt service from our capital projects, so we're able to add that into this formula to tax the community. So The 2.32% number is what the community could be taxed without going to supermajority. So that becomes kind of our starting point for the board to understand where we're at in terms of the formula. And then, as you'll see in the presentation, you'll see where we land. So right here is the tax levy history. So just going across, I'll just start with CPI. So that number, again, that's a number we're giving to by the government. Right now it's 2.63%. As you can see, as COVID it was higher, and of course it's dropped down since then. So our budget number, so when I'm talking about all the proposals, all the salary and benefits, our budget as of right now is 148.3 million. So that's a budget of 2.23% increase. So last year was 1.89%, this year is 2.23%. So that includes rolling everyone's salaries, all the budget requests from the departments, and literally everything. So when you look at the allowable tax levy I just discussed, this year is 2.32%, and that allowable tax levy limit is 96.2 million. So what we're actually looking to tax the community is 0.00%. That is an actual tax levy number of about 94 million. As you can see in the 25-26 line, that is the same exact number. So when you look at what we're taxing versus what we're allowed to tax, we've taken off $2.1 million. And so when you look, I just want to point out too, when you look at 25-26, you'll see a negative number in the actual tax levy amount. And last year, if you went back to the presentations, you wouldn't have seen that number. It was 0. So the reason why it's a negative number is because in August, on the tax warrant, there was excess money in the budget based after the audit was finalized, and $1 million was given back to the community. So just so you can understand that. And all these figures are tentative until budget adoption, which would happen in April. So this is just a visual of that last screen. So as you can see, the biggest takeaway here is CPI is the highest in blue. In red is the allowable tax levy limit. That's the formula I went over. And then as you can see, the actual tax levy limit, which is much lower than we were actually taxing. So here's the reserve fund summary. So our reserves are the district's savings account in the simplest terms. So we have different reserve categories. I'm just going to go through a few of them. So one of the biggest ones you'll see is reserve for tax reduction. So it's at 1.2 million, and that's based off the sale of the property of the old district office. So there was only so many choices we could do with that money, and the best thing to do is put it in a tax reduction reserve. As you can see, I'll just jump around a little bit. Reserve for tax certiorari, that was at 10.5 million the year before, and now it's at 2.9 million. There was a legal case that, I know I wasn't here, but there was money that was stocked away in case we were going to have to pay off back taxes, that the case settled and we didn't have to pay back. So we had to move that money at the end of last year. As you can see, it's spread out amongst these other reserves because we can no longer hold that money there anymore. And then you see reserve for capital projects. As we keep going into budget season, we will be talking more about capital project, future capital project pending board approval tonight, and that's where that money would come. A piece of that project we would take out of this account, so that $5.2 million. So here's a breakdown of spending. This is just the whole budget. I categorize it from contractual versus discretionary, and as you can see, salary and benefits, special education services, utilities, debt service, these are all things that when I'm putting the budget together, there's no wiggle room in that, meaning that there's contracts that we have to adhere by. We have proposals from vendors that we have contracts with that go out more than 1 year that we have to abide by, so those get rolled over first. And discretionary is material supplies, curriculum enhancements, athletics, extracurricular, facility upgrades. So when you talk about making the budget, we're really only working with about 21.85% of the budget that we can actually really increase or decrease year to year. So in total, so as I said, the proposed budget is $148 million and a budget increase of 2.23%, and the proposed tax levy of $94 million and a tax levy increase of 0.00%. So that's $2.1 million less than the maximum allowable tax levy limit. So next steps, April 21st, we'll have more presentations and then budget adoption. And then we have the annual budget hearing in May, and then May 19th is the vote. So this slide is about early voting and absentee ballots. You can also look at our district clerk, Ms. LaRocca's page for more information on that as well. And then also for the nominee positions, which I believe are going to be available starting today. And that's it. Is there any questions from the board? Okay, thank you very much.
Excellent job, Melissa. Thank you so much, and thank you to all the presenters today. Right now we have communication. We have comments on this evening's consent agenda items only. We ask all speakers to adhere to policy 1230 in the following fashion: maintain the public forum appropriate for a school, address the president of the board, obscene language, libelous statements, threats of violence statements, advocating racial, religious, or other forms of prejudice will not be tolerated. Comments and questions should be made in a respectful manner. Personal attacks or criticism of any person connected with the district are not permitted. So this is comments on agenda items only. Do we have anybody? Melody, do you have anybody send them comments on agenda items? Darrell?
Vice President Mustafa, Board Trustees, and Superintendent Neely. Thank you for the opportunity to address the board. My name is Dara Berkowitz. I am a proud 28-year resident of Mahopac, a teacher in the district, and a secondary vice president of the MTA. I am here tonight to share my concerns regarding the budget. I would first like to thank our business office and Assistant Superintendent of Finance and Operations for their work in developing a thoughtful proposal that maintains safe and consistent access to instruction, programs, resources, and extracurricular activities for our students while remaining mindful of the community. Tonight's presentation reflects a 2.23 budget-to-budget increase, largely driven by contractual obligations. With a maximum allowable tax levy of 2.32%, the district faces a clear decision: align the levy with allowable growth, or reduce it and rely on reserves that are traditionally intended for emergency or one-time needs. With that in mind, I am concerned about the direction of the levy discussions. Several trustees voiced support for a 0% tax levy. A second consecutive zero levy raises serious long-term fiscal concerns. It also goes against the recommendation of Superintendent Neely, who stated in the work session that he felt 1% was appropriate, and the Assistant Superintendent for Finance and Operations, who stated in the work session that a 0% levy has serious potential for negative outcomes. While last year's unexpected state aid helped offset some pressure, recurrent costs, including contractual obligations, special education services, transportation, and utilities, continue to grow annually. Holding the levy flat while expenses rise creates a structural imbalance. It does not eliminate costs, it simply delays how we address them. Reserves are designed for one-time needs, such as emergencies, capital repairs, or economic downturns, not to subsidize recurring operational expenses year after year. While reserves can stabilize a single year, they certainly cannot sustainably fund ongoing operations. A second consecutive zero levy in the face of rising fixed costs is not long-term fiscal stewardship. It is revenue compression that shifts pressure into future budgets. Fiscal responsibility means aligning recurring revenue with recurring expenses so we avoid sharper corrections later. The word trustee means to hold something in trust for others. As board trustees, you are entrusted not only with today's budget, but with the long-term financial health of this district. True stewardship requires decisions that protect both current taxpayers and future ones. I would also like to briefly address the calendar discussion from the recent work session. We have had a remote learning plan in place since 2021, and this year it was implemented successfully. On that remote day, district attendance exceeded 90%, including 94% at the high school, which is just 1 percentage point below a typical in-person day, and over 95% at elementary schools. That is not lost instruction. That is continuity. We already have snow days built into the calendar. If unused, they are returned in the spring. often extending spring break or Memorial Day weekend, both critical instructional periods that can interrupt momentum and exam preparation for grades 3 to 8 assessments, AP exams, and Regents exams. Preemptively eliminating 3 February break days adds instability where it is not necessary. Families plan around the adopted calendar, and the alignment with neighboring school districts supports child's care and predictability. And let's be real, families are going on vacation in February, we know that. So that results in loss of instruction. Protecting a predictable calendar protects both learning and well-being. I respectfully urge the board to retain the full week of February break in the adopted 26-27 calendar. Thank you.
Jennifer Spadaleri.
Good evening, members of the board. I apologize because I'm not a public speaker. I am here tonight as a parent of 4 children in this district. My children have been here for 12 years, and this is the first time I've ever spoken at a meeting. I have attended a few, I've watched a lot. I have shown up to support and disagree with many things. There have been countless teachers, coaches, administrators, counselors, staff, and beyond that have been there that I cannot even name. But tonight hits different for me. I am not speaking for who are these people. I am speaking for the person who has hired, supported, mentored these teachers.
Yes,
You spoke last night and I listened to the entire meeting and documented it.
this is consent agenda items only. Just.
Okay, so I can't speak?
No, you can speak, but we're talking about consent agenda. Well, it's consent agenda items, that's what we're talking about. No, you'll have your opportunity.
I'm speaking on the things that were spoken about last night.
Yeah, we're just.
Okay, maybe I misspelled my thing, I apologize.
Not a problem, it's not a problem. We'll get back to you when we
Okay,
get
thank
this.
Public, just general public comment at the end. You'll definitely be allowed
Appreciate
to
that,
speak.
thank you. Agenda items, sorry.
Tracy Casey.
Good evening, trustees. Good evening, Superintendent. I'm Tracy Casey. I'm the president of the Mahopac Teachers Association. I am here tonight to speak about the budget. I am here to raise concerns regarding the possibility of a 0% tax levy. A zero levy might sound reasonable, but in reality, it could be harmful to school district or a school district costs, like healthcare, transportation, and utilities, rise every year. Repeatedly dipping into reserves to avoid raising the levy may solve today's problems, but eventually creates a large gap in future budgets. This gap can lead to tax increases, program cuts, and staff reductions, all of which directly impact students. Reserves are meant to be a safety net for emergencies like repairs, legal costs, and state aid fluctuations, not long-term solutions. During the 2010s, we faced layoffs and had cut programs because of the gap between revenue and expenses was too large. I am concerned if we continue down this path, we will see similar consequences again. I am also concerned with the now 6 proposed propositions on the ballot. I believe they are confusing, and combined, the voting structure could cause distraction for taxpayers. My greatest worry is that the confusion could negatively impact the vote, and a no vote could become an unintended consequence. I am also here tonight on 2 other issues. I believe I can speak about them now, but you tell me if I can, because I did see them on the executive agenda. So, do you want me to hold public comment on?
Yeah, we're just talking about agenda items.
Okay, so on the executive, so I'll hold that for public comment? Okay, that is fine, thank you.
Adam Savina.
Good evening. I've got a short amount of time to speak, so I'll try and be brief about it. First, can you talk about the appropriation status detail with that appropriate?
No, just comments.
Oh, okay. It appears that the superintendent's salary on that is $303,000. Just looking at the numbers, if you look at 275 and 28, so there's something. Oh, trying to speak fast. We'll go over to buses quick. It would be prudent for you to consider more than what you have in your proposal, considering, as I spoke of the other night, the safety risks, the longevity, the useful life, and usefulness period of electric buses. We should buy them now rather than waiting. And having like equipment in the garage is also beneficial for maintenance and downtime. Speaking specifically on Prop 6, is there a map or rendition anywhere of it? Just the numbers and what's going to get done. There's no real picture of what's getting done, what's getting turned out. Okay. That pops out. Of all these propositions, which ones address the deficiencies in the building condition survey? How many of them?
Just, when I
Okay.
just give your comments.
Practice field lights are buried in with high school HVAC and other building spaces. I think that should maybe be a separate item as a want. Building spaces are more important. What else do we have? There's a lot of work in these prompts. A lot of it would be easier if we had created a $10 million reserve last year, but here we are. If we have these huge reserves, maybe we should look at bonding the long-term student center projects, pay up front for the wants. We should use our savings for the extras, the lights, the field, stuff like that. Because learning's not optional. The other stuff is. I don't disagree that many of them are needed. I disagree with how they're funded and how they're presented. Keep draining our reserves for these 0% is great, but you're going to bond and raise taxes anyway? Okay. So when the wells run dry, how do we plug that $3+ million gap? We raise taxes 3 or 4%. We're going to keep it 0 so we can get our re-election campaign, whatever. Add to the complexity that your losses, 0% year after year, compound. Right? So now where are we going to be? We're supposed to be moving the district forward, not going back. It's time to put personal agendas, interests, and vanity projects aside and do what's right. 0% is not right. It's irresponsible fiscal planning, plain and simple. So I ask you, do better and do what's right.
Okay, agenda items. Anybody else that did not sign up for agenda items real quick? No? Okay, if that's the case, I'd like to turn it over to our superintendent of schools, Frank Mills, for his superintendent's report. Frank?
Okay, thank you. This is in regards to our middle school, with Tom Casacreta, our principal, and Dr. Lawrence, our curriculum director. And we read this statement as far as something that we're proposing, and we think it will be a big help the academics of our students at the middle school. In an effort to increase student proficiency in math and English at the middle school, the The middle school administration will be looking into scheduling options to have students who fail either math, English, or both back into their failed course at such time the student shows content proficiency. The student will also be placed into the grade level appropriate course to keep pace with the curriculum. The middle school administration will supply details with the middle school community. So that means that if a student that's in 6th grade does not pass that 6th grade course, he'll enter 7th grade, he'll take the math in 7th grade. At the same time, he will be put into a 6th grade class that he'll have to repeat until he's proficient. It could be the first quarter, it could be the second half. We're going to do that in math as well as the English part. Trying to help our students prior to entering the high school. So we think this will work. We think we're in a good place with it, and our administration will send out details to middle school parents. Next, we also met with the town for our annual contract meeting. We then met with the MSA, and I look forward to a collaborative relationship with them moving forward. So from now on, the school district will deal directly with our MSA, whether it's football, soccer, cheerleading, the various sports that we have. Next, I'd like to just mention one of our, we've had a great winter season, but this year we had one special student, Nate Maskell, who just received awarded the Golden Dozen Award for academics and as well as football. What can you say about Nate? I mean, everyone here knows him. He's a loved student athlete, plays 2 sports, plays football, plays baseball. In football, he was all section. In football, he was all state. But the thing that probably stands out the most is that he's an all-state person. And I think everybody that knows him will agree. He has a bright future. He's going to enter Amherst in the fall. And he's probably setting himself up to be probably one of the best student athletes that we've had in Mahopac's history. So I can't be more proud of any of our student athletes. And we have a tremendous amount of student athletes in our district. So Nate stands right at the top. And so congratulations to Nate. Next, tomorrow night, and as well as on Saturday, at the middle school play, Aladdin. Like I told my wife, I'm taking her to Broadway tomorrow night. I don't think I can fool her anymore, because I've said it a few times. But after all these years, what the heck? Kind of gets a laugh out of her. Also, I would remind everyone, in the community and school will not be in session March 30th through April 3rd. So, thank you.
I'd like to just announce real quick that the electoral information is on the district clerk page. If there are any questions about the upcoming election, please reach out to our district clerk, Melody O'Rourke. Thank you. We're going to move on to reports right now. We have subcommittee reports. I'm going to go right over to our first report and for curriculum, and that would be our chairman, Tanner McCracken. Tanner.
Oh, thank you. I've been 6 years on the board. That's my first applause I got for a committee report, so that's exciting and encouraging. So thank you, Mr. President, Board of Education, community. The subcommittee on curriculum met on February 26th, 2026 at 5:15 p.m. President was myself, Trustee Ben DeLulo, Trustee Lisa Carway via Zoom, Assistant Superintendent of Curriculum and Instruction, Dr. Matt Lawrence, and our Superintendent of Schools, Frank Muley, pulled up about halfway through, which was electric, by the way. That got me really, that was great when you showed up. Meeting got so much better. And I don't know what, you're shoveling the snow. So we requested in our strategic plan that we passed a couple of years ago, there was a key element in there to teach more local Mahopac and Putnam County and Hudson Valley history in our schools. And Dr. Matt Lawrence was doing a great job at creating that. We just wanted to report an update, and it went really, really well. Over the summer, we talked about during the budget presentation, K through 5, we are now implementing local stories, local history into our curriculum. But Dr. Lawrence explained to the committee how these lessons still have to be integrated with existing ELA and social studies curriculum requirements. So it's essentially teaching what would be in any other school district lessons that had to be taught, but we are now directly embedding our local history into it. This was really important to the committee and the board when we fought to get it into the strategic plan, because kids knowing the history of their community is super important to helping make our community more rooted. Knowing what happened here, the indigenous people that lived here before us, fighting for the revolution. America, it's our 250th birthday this year for our country, and the war against the British Empire and fighting the crown and earning our independence happened right here in the Hudson Valley. So for kids to learn these lessons at such a young age appropriate, is super important. And we feel that we are close now. We're probably 30 years away, maybe 20 years away from kind of losing a generation in our town that can really speak to the stories of the 1900s through Mahopac. How we were a vacation town, the hotels on the lake, and how everyone eventually from the city, instead of just being a vacation town, just plopped out and stayed here and was able to commute to the city for work. So there's a lot of rich history here. It's important for our kids to learn this. So it was a really, really great presentation from Dr. Lawrence, but it broke out into a deeper discussion where we talked about, one, we want to look at this could potentially be a local history elective in high school, but we also, the committee is recommending, and board, you'll see a request for the next work session agenda, we are requesting an advisory council, a local history advisory council, to do two things. To get a bunch of local history buffs together, active community members, people that can bring ideas, but also a lot of people are in possession of first-hand sources for a lot of these stories and artifacts of Mahopac. We want to bring them in, have a council that essentially is shown what Dr. Lawrence's team has already created, and saying, are we missing anything? Do you have anything else to add? Because even our superintendent, Frank Milley, was halfway through the presentation throwing in ideas. Did you know about that? Did you know about this? Teaching, I had another lesson as a class. So we really, that's a recommendation for next month, but it's something that will further enhance our local history curriculum. We also had a K-5 curriculum assessment review request. We want to know essentially how are we testing whether or not our kids are performing well or not. And Dr. Lawrence gave the video's online because all committee meetings are recorded now. If you want to know exactly how we are grading, how we grade, it was one of the best answers you've given as a curriculum director, I have to tell you. I know I'm hard on you sometimes. But you really, it's because I love you and I love this and I'm passionate, but that was one of the best answers you've ever given. But essentially, I'll read a little bit here, but it focused on reviewing the process, particularly in math and literacy, and discussing the assessment methods. Dr. Lawrence explained the new standardized curriculum and the assessment approach across all elementary schools, which aims to provide consistent education and data-driven instruction. And we just reached the end of that cycle to actually look back and see how we're doing. So it was an excellent presentation. So after all that excitement, the meeting concluded at 6:15 p.m. and the next curriculum committee meeting is scheduled for April 14, 2026. Thank you so much. I yield back, Mr. President.
Thank you, Trustee McCracken. Right over now to our Finance Chairman, Kyle Potter. Kyle.
Thank you. We've had 2 finance meetings since our last regular meeting. We have First meeting took place Thursday, February 26th at 6:21. First item on the agenda was the budget presentation. Alyssa Murray presented the budget presentation number 3. The presentation included a detailed budget request and year-over-year comparisons in the following areas: transportation, safety and security, special education, curriculum, and infrastructure. Committee reviewed projected expenditures, discussed contractual and operational cost drivers, highlighted areas of increase, and cost containment efforts. Committee members asked clarifying questions regarding anticipated changes in long-term planning considerations within each category. Second, the committee reviewed a detailed line-by-line comparison of the 2026-2027 proposed budget to the 2025-2026 adopted budget. This outlined notable increases and decreases across the budget codes, providing an explanation for significant variances. Third item, the committee reviewed January 26 BOCES invoice, and lastly, the committee reviewed the financials projected in the BOCES. Our second meeting took place Wednesday, March 4th. First item we reviewed was the tax levy scenarios. The meeting began with the discussion of potential tax levy scenarios. Alyssa presented several options ranging from a 0% tax levy up to the maximum allowable tax cap of 2.2%. The committee reviewed the financial implications of each scenario and discussed how various levy levels could affect the overall budget of taxpayers. Second item we discussed is the tax impacts associated with Proposition 4 and 6. Prop 4 was confirmed to remain tax neutral. Prop 5 was estimated to have an impact of $29.56 per year. And Proposition 6 at the time of the presentation was not finalized and was still waiting for cost effective testing. The meeting concluded following these items, and the next meeting will take place April 9th.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Connor. Okay, so we're very privileged to have our 2 student board members here this evening, Sullivan Hunter and Sarah Grapp. I'm going to ask Sullivan to give his report. Sullivan.
Good evening, everyone. Hello, everyone. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Sullivan Hunter. I'm currently a junior at Mahopac High School. Recently, a lot of students at the high school have been advocating for seniors to have the ability to paint their parking spots. This idea started with a group of 10th grade students who participate with sophomore most. They started a petition to allow students to paint these spots. Administration and them have begun to iron out some of the logistics involved. Things considering the fact that seniors currently don't have their own designated spots, as well as making sure a student has a spot to paint, what students get what spot, things of that nature. A lot of other schools participate in something similar to this, so we do have a frame of reference and guidance to look towards, so we're not going in this completely blind. It's a pretty good idea, I believe. A lot of students will have the ability to express themselves. It's also just a fun thing for our seniors to participate in, given it's their last year in Mahopac. Given that, administration and them can work out all the details, I think it would be something very beneficial for our seniors.
Good evening, everyone. First off, I'd just like to start to say I hope you all have been staying well in our past few months of this horrible weather, but finally it's coming to an end. So tonight I just wanted to touch base on some body concerns. So firstly, as a result of our grueling weather, we have lost all of our snow days as a district. Due to this, a Superintendent's Day scheduled for Thursday, March 19th, has been canceled and changed to an instructional day. This came as an unfortunate surprise for many students and their families in the junior class, as junior prom is scheduled to take place on the night of Wednesday, March 18th. Logically, it was planned this way originally on the Wednesday, to make March 19th an asynchronous learning day. Although beneficial for the junior class and the high school not having to see that fun in attendance, it's unknown if this petition will be approved. In addition to the March 19th Superintendent's Day cancellation, several instructional courses had to be canceled for now, one of which is Teacher First Aid and Recognition Certification led by myself and a team from the Epilepsy Foundation. Due to the cancellation, I'd just like to mention and extend an open invite to the community for an epilepsy wellness event that will be taking place this Sunday from 12 to 4 at the Maria Ferrari Children's Hospital, and it's welcome to all persons who are interested. And then secondly, some of our student suggestions have recently been stirring around the language department. Although the department is stellar in itself, our students have expressed interest in the development of an ASL or American Sign Language. So that would be in both the middle school and the high school as their language choice. Today, 6th graders must choose if they would like to enroll in Spanish, Italian, or German, but many students wish that they could learn ASL as their secondary language. It's noteworthy that the American Sign Language is recognized as a secondary language through the New York State Department of Education, and they have resources to aid schools in their progressions to move towards the implementation of ASL. Although, as of now, I'm just relaying this information from the student body, I am willing and more than happy to reach out to any of our staff and possible outside organizations who may be interested in helping this dream of our students become a reality. That's all I have for tonight. Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you for those amazing reports. I know that Sullivan, I know that parking space report. That's really been real big in the metropolitan area over there. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what kind of artwork the students come up with, the seniors come up with. So that should be really good. Thank you for that, Sullivan. Good job. Okay. Okay. So let's see. So on letter D over here, we have a discussion on the NISBA Convention Expo, and whether or not the board would like to present, do a presentation at the Expo to be held on October 22nd to the 24th in Buffalo, New York, pertaining to financial literacy. Are you looking at me? Well, I'm looking at just in general. I think it's something. I think it's just something we should definitely.
So I'm not seeking re-election to the school board, but I am willing, as a past board member at that time, Mr. Mealy, Dr. Lawrence, to take the show on the road. I said, I'll be there. I'll go. Let's do it. But we all, 3 of us, have to wear matching ties. Is Principal Keaton's here? Okay. I say we take the show on the road and present this landmark, historic program, first in the state. We should go to Buffalo. I'm there if you're there. Is that the discussion?
I think that's the discussion.
All right.
Okay, so we're going to participate.
Either Mahopac Gold or Money Green. We'll decide.
Okay, so yeah, so interested board members should send in a letter of interest, and we'll make sure that Leonor has the oldest short bus possible, and send them up to Buffalo. So yeah. With skis. Way to go, Pat. Good job. Okay. So we have on E, we have boards. So it's a proposition for recordings, and I know Chris is something that I know we talked about this. We're passionate about it, but I think what we're looking to do right now is, as the propositions are voted on this evening, whether to I'll turn it over to Chris real quick, but I think he's got an idea of just how to maybe get more information out to the community on the different items. Go ahead, Chris.
Yes, so we are going to have a lot of propositions, more than last year, on the ballot. There'll be you know, the budget, the buses, and then we have our 3 propositions. There's also a capital reserve. There's a lot going on. The plan was to cut a video with the propositions and maybe, like someone had mentioned, adding some renderings of the capital project items that we want to see in those props. The idea would be to maybe do, and you know, up to the board, like a 20-minute, maybe a long-form video, and then also an edited 90-second, maybe 2-minute, you know, like talking like YouTube clips that we can get up on the district website, and we can blast out on social media. This way people are informed when they go to vote. There would be like a fee. It's not a nominal fee, just for recording, camera and things like that. So that's something the board wants to move forward with.
So, Mr. President, I have a question about that.
Yeah, sure.
So, 2 years ago, we had a push button with I think it was like a kiosk. So would this be sort of the same thing?
I think it's more, more interactive with, I think it's something that we can get on the website, something that people can access to view. We did talk about podcasts, just in order to make sure that, because it's aggressive. We're doing we're looking to do a lot of things, but it's all spread out between all the disciplines, between, the upgrades at the auditorium, at the high school, to our sports fields, to our, to lighting, to items that were, at the schools with HVAC and so we're trying to address a lot of things.
So, go ahead, sorry.
But I mean, the kiosk,
So 2 years ago, the previous superintendent had a kiosk, and I think one of our brilliant teachers helped out with it. I guess that's fine. I think this is a great idea. Anything we can do to clarify, because honestly, I think these propositions, a lot of people don't know what it is. The other thing I wanted to ask, is this going to go through the normal bidding process, through the bidding process as a vendor, et cetera, or is this going to be a volunteer situation?
I think it's a volunteer situation, and I think we'll probably utilize, something with the BOCES, right? Or what do you have, Chris? We have.
I mean, yeah, it was
And we also have that guy.
So is somebody reaching out? Is somebody from the administration reaching out to BOCES?
Yeah, well, we just wanted to get a framework, so if this is something that we wanted to do. Yeah.
So, all right, so Mr. Bailey, you're going to present us if this goes forward. All right, thank you.
Thanks. Okay, very good. All right. Okay, so we have so tonight also is the discussion on the calendar. We have a calendar over here. Yeah, go ahead, Frank's going to take base.
We've been on this calendar probably a dozen times. And my feeling is that the one that we've adopted works perfectly for us. It stays in line with other districts. It also, after talking to our MTA leadership, we don't want to have 7 snow days. Or this year was kind of a abnormal. I've been here a long time. I don't really remember anything along these lines. And we still really had 1 remote day. And we did have a lot of interruptions. So I don't see us, and I can't say that, I don't see us having another year like we just had. At the same time, I don't see us adding 3 more snow days to our calendar. And if it doesn't snow, have to give them back during some of the most critical times as far as our academics. During the spring, either Memorial Day, and it does interfere with our educational process. And so my suggestion and my recommendation is that we keep the calendar the way it is, and I think it'll work out just fine. that's what I'm recommending. So we've adopted it, it's there. Remote learning, listen, we had it one day, and it was awesome. Is it something we want to do and have to plan on doing? No, and I hope we never do it again, but we do have everything in place. Like I said, it won't happen tomorrow, so I know that for sure. There's snow days tomorrow with the lakes, because I'm not calling. But that's my recommendation to the board.
Mr. President?
Yeah, go ahead.
Could I just, well, I had brought up the calendar at the work session, and it wasn't really remote. I'm just more concerned about using all those snow days. I know in 2018, 2019, we were only off the Monday, Tuesday of February, and then we're in school the rest of the week, and that was the thought from other parents I talked to, is that, you know, and then next year you have Easter falling early, so your Easter break is about 3 weeks after that week in February. So that's where that came from, if people were wondering. And again, with the thought that you can always tack, gives you a little wiggle room, you can tack those days somewhere else in April or May.
Okay, thank you. So what we have right now, if we go down, we have a donation from Austin Road PTO, and I'd like to ask Trustee Nicole Aguilar to read the donation.
Resolved, the Board of Education hereby accepts donations from the Austin Road PTO for the following: No Holding Back Assembly in the amount of $2,894 to be held on May 19th, 2026. And Bash the Trash Assembly in the amount of $3,910 held on March 5th and March 13th, 2026.
Seconded. Ezra, yes. What's the second? By Tanner. All in favor?
Aye.
Very much. A resounding. Yeah, that was. I don't think he needed his mic. Okay. So now we're going to vote on the consent agenda. Can I get a motion?
Well, Mr. President, I'd like to make a motion. I'd like to make a motion to remove subject letter N from the consent agenda to be voted on separately.
So we have a motion to remove and the capital project resolution for annual election of May 19, 2026. Can I get a second?
Second. Oh, sorry.
You don't need the mic, Ben. Come on, all right. All right. Well, it's fine. I mean, Stash just, his headset just blew up. Okay. Okay, so, and all in favor? Aye. Okay, so N is going to be removed.
I have a point of inquiry, please. Mr. President.
Yeah. Yes.
So on the same letter, on the capital project, N, in the detail here, it looks like that, and on the hard copy, that there's a duplication. I just want to make sure it goes out accurately. There's 4, 5, and 6, and then 2, and then it goes 4, 5, and 6 again. It looks to me, I can't really, I just looked through it briefly. It looks like they're duplicated, so I just want to make sure it goes out accurately. Is that right? Or is that just additional language? Maybe this is a question for a listener.
Okay, well,
In addition, I just said it's accurate.
Pardon me?
It is accurate. The reason why it's duplicate is because it's approving the capital projects and then it's also approving the ballot positions.
Right.
So it is duplicate, but it is accurate.
If I may, Mr. President, with the floor, I just want to state my intentions. I'm going to vote differently on the consent agenda and that project. I also, when we're done voting on the consent agenda, I intend to have a motion to vote on each prop separately, but the order to do it would be to move it, vote on the consent agenda, and then I will offer the
Okay,
motion.
can I get a motion to accept tonight's consent agenda without letter N?
Motion.
Tanner McCracken, second. Trustee Vice President Massafra, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right, so now we'll go to proposition and capital project resolution for annual election of May 19, 2026.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Discussion.
Thank you, Mr. President. So I would like to make a motion to vote on the 5 propositions mentioned in the resolution separately. So Prop 2, Prop 3, Prop 4, Prop 5, and Prop 6. I'd like the board to vote on each of those separately. Sorry? Say it again? I'd like to make a motion to vote on 2, 4, 5, and 6 separately, Mr. President.
Okay, so, okay, can I get a second?
Second.
Okay, I think that should be it, okay. Okay, and then okay, so can I get that's the vote, so we're gonna vote separately on each one, okay. So that's all in favor? Aye. Okay, so now let's go and we're gonna vote on the proposition number 2. So can I get a...
What is that for? Which proposition is that for?
That's the school bus.
So we know, what is it for? The buses?
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
So can I get a motion to can I get a vote on the on bond proposition number 2? Since we're voting on individually, Melody, call the roll call vote.
Trustee Harrigan? Yes. Trustee McCracken?
Aye.
Trustee Giordano? Yes. Vice President Massafra? Yes. President Logan?
Yes.
Trustee Potter?
Yes.
Trustee DeLulo?
Aye.
Trustee Corwin?
Yes.
Trustee Travis?
Yes.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you. Okay. Now we're going to bond number 4. Bond number 4, and that is that's for construction, alterations and improvements for various district buildings, set forth by the plan prepared by the district, with assistance of Tetra Tech architects and engineers. This is the budget neutral proposition. Can I get a roll call vote, please? Are we in the mode? I think we're in the motion.
To call a roll.
Yeah, that's what you we'll call.
Yep.
Yeah.
Motion?
Yeah, trustee Harrigan, second. Okay. Roll call vote, please.
Trustee Harrigan? Yes. Trustee McCracken?
Yes.
Trustee Giordano? Yes. Vice President Massafra? Yes. President Logan?
Yes.
Trustee Potter?
Yes.
Sorry. Trustee DeLulo?
Yes, and I just want to make sure the public understands that these are for the bathrooms, the Lakeview gym floor, and transportation roof. Yes.
Okay.
Trustee Travis?
Yes.
And Trustee Corwin?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Bond number 5, bond proposition number 5. This is that next level of detail for the playgrounds. Yeah, for the playgrounds, the bathrooms, the HVAC, yes. And some of the I think with the lights up there for to replace the lighting at the practice field. So can I get a motion, please? Trustee Iacono, second. Second. Roll call vote.
Trustee Harrigan?
Yes.
Trustee McCracken?
No.
Trustee Giordano? Yes. Vice President Massafra? Yes. President Logan?
Yes.
Trustee Potter?
Yes.
Trustee Torway?
Yes.
Trustee DeLulo?
Just want to make sure the public understands, this is for the high school auditorium and theater, gymnasium air conditioning, Austin HVAC replacement, Austin playground, Fulmer playground, a resounding yes.
Okay.
Trustee Travis?
Yes.
Motion carries.
Okay. Okay, number 6.
Can we go to discussion so I can make a comment before we vote on 6?
On 6?
Yes, please.
4.
Can I just make a comment before we vote on it, or should I comment?
Roll call, so we can...
Okay, I'd like to motion to have a discussion on Prop 6.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Mr. President? May I go?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. I'm sorry, I just want to be respectful, you yield the time, but thank you. And I want to thank the board too for voting to move it from the consent agenda and also voting all of them separately. I think it's important for the purposes of transparency, but also obviously I want to vote differently on some of them. So the reason I'm voting no as well on Proposition 6 is because I go into grocery stores every week here in Mahopac and I walk our neighborhoods and my neighbors are telling me that they are getting crushed by the school taxes. So that is why I'm voting this way. I believe strongly in the quality of education for our kids, but I also believe in having an affordable community. And there are wants and there's needs. And I believe that this proposition has more wants than needs for our district. So I'm voting no tonight on this proposition because it puts our taxpayers on the hook for the next 15 years, increases to their taxes. And I believe it's not always the big, large payment that you have to make that really hurts your wallet. It's the small, tiny cuts over time. Death by a million cuts. So I'm voting no tonight. I want the public to hear it directly from me as an individual board member. Obviously, if this passes tonight, it becomes the recommendation of the Board of Education, which I respect. But myself as a trustee, I cannot hear the concerns of my neighbors year after year after year serving this position and not listen to those concerns. So that's how I'm voting tonight. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President.
Okay. Discussion?
So as a follow-up, these propositions are just to be put on the ballot. The community has the opportunity to decide if they want this proposition to continue. And as I said the other evening, these are like your house. If you don't take care of your house every year or every so many years, everything will start to deteriorate and fall apart. So this is a decision that the community can make to bring our campuses to the next level. So this is just to be put on the proposition so the community can decide. That's all it is. We're not making the decision, the community will make the decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anyone else? All right. I echo my colleague, Trustee McCracken. So I'm going to put it a different way. In the Board of Ed, you have priorities, okay? And I've said this before. You have 3 big priorities. One is find a superintendent. Secondly is manage fiscally responsible budget. And then third is to set policy. The priorities that I think are more important are indoors. So the president the other night said we need to compete with neighboring districts like Panis and some other things, and they spent 15 minutes talking about the bullpens and the fencing and the walls. I don't think I want to compete with those districts on those bases. I mean, we need to be competitive with our special ed, which you heard about. We're probably the premier special ed provider in Putnam County. I would think so. I don't think we need to be competitive. We need to be competitive with special ed. Like I said, we need to be competitive with our pathways. The business pathway is just starting. Maybe we want to hire a business director at some point. That's going to cost it's going to cost us a couple $100,000. Maybe we want to start a medical pathway in 5 years. okay? I think that's where you spend. I don't think this is the right thing. I heard a comment the other day. I was at my son's music, he was singing. He's a great singer, by the way. And I was in the audience, not as good as my wife, but it was an employee, and I'm not going to give him your name. I'm not going to give up the name. The only way we can get new bathrooms if they were covered with turf. So I also think that you're looking at a budget and proposals. You can't look at them separately. You have to look at them as a whole. So budget 6, okay, if you look at the details, and please, I know this, it's, math is not everybody's strong suit, and I'm in finance, and I get it, this stuff is dizzying. So the budget, so Proposition 6 is going to cost $9.27 a month. That's if 4 and 5 get passed. It's $111.22. Then we have to do the main budget. If the 0% budget passes, if that's what we present, which I think is incredibly physically irresponsible.
And please stay on. We're discussing propositions.
This is in context, Mike. I appreciate the opportunity to speak.
Yeah.
Okay? Okay? Is that okay? Thank you, Tanner. So, in the context, the propositions and the budget, they're still coming out of everybody's pocket, including mine. So when you're looking at that, well, if you do zero, you're going to spend $0 a month if the budget is 0. But you're going to spend $9.27 if Proposition 6 passes. Is that do we have our priorities right? No, we don't. So what I would suggest to the board, that we took a pulse. We like to take pulses on the board. But it wasn't definitive. There were waves, there were ranges. People were going 1, people were going 1.5, 1.25. I strongly urge that we move it. I said it at 2. $2% would give us $15 a month, $180.24 a year. That is an investment in our children, not a vanity project for the president of the board. I vote no.
I just want to remind everyone that the other night you wanted a 2% tax levy increase. In addition to the 2 years you chaired finance, those are the years the budget failed. So thank you very much for your advice.
I didn't get to present a budget. Lucy, I didn't get to present a budget. If I had presented it, I probably would have passed.
Anybody else in discussion on 6? Before we vote?
Mr. President, I just wanted to add, it's about Prop 6. Okay. So, looking at all the things that are included, it's not a vanity project. It's to bring this district in line with other districts like Brewster and Somers that are here. Having fields at the Falls Academy, fixing those fields that have horrible drainage, and the turf that would go down would be able to accommodate more sports rather than just baseball and softball. You'd be able to put a lot more teams out on those fields if it's turf. I just wanted to clarify that. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate that. Thanks, Chris. Okay, any other discussion? Okay. Well, this is anything but a vanity project. Proposition 6. I've been in this community for a long time, and I've watched our children play in mud for a good portion of that. Whether it's some of the town fields, or whether it's right up here at Lakeview, or what we had over here after the rain. So it's anything but a vanity project. It's a project that is trying to do something for not only our schools community and our athletes, because we have, how many more? Lynn, how many teams do we have now? 46? Yeah, so we have a lot of teams and not a lot of space to practice. We'll be lucky if we get out on that baseball field anytime within the next month. So, you know, vanity project, why don't you go around, take a good walk around some of the schools right now, put your mutters on tomorrow, Ben, and walk around and have a look around at the
I'd rather go see the play
at the resident.
at the middle school.
So, listen, at the end of the day, you know, once you sit there, it's a vanity project. Sad part is he's really done very little for this board for the last 6 years. So, this is something for the kids. Man on the right. Roll call vote. Go, Chris. Oh, Melody, I'm sorry, roll call.
Trustee Harrigan? Trustee McFadden,
No.
Trustee Ucano? Yes. Vice President Musafra?
Yes, for the community to decide.
Absolutely.
President Morgan?
Yes.
Trustee Potter?
Yes.
Trustee DeLulla?
No.
Trustee Carway? No. Trustee Travis?
No, I would like to see our future capital projects be more, we don't have space for sensory rooms.
Just to,
We were just voting.
just voting, Jen.
We are busting at the seams in our buildings, and we need to think forward ahead to what our enrollment looks like, making sure our class sizes are right. We are now adding another 812 classroom, which requires so many more staff and student space. This is something we should be looking at in the future. And I can appreciate athletes needing the ball field, I do, but I think we need to educate our students first.
Okay, so that's 5-4, motion carries.
Okay, okay, and then the next vote, and then, so we're voting on the rest of the consent agenda.
We did that.
It's already done, so, so establish capital, these are the ones already, okay, very good. Thank you, Mr. President. All right, very good, thank you all, thank you for it all. Okay, okay. All right, so we have a resident comment portion right now. And what I'm going to say right now is it's 4 minutes. We have 4 minutes for each speaker. This is again just resident comment. Before I begin, I want to address some of the concerns that have been raised regarding district employees. Our union representatives and district employees are valued and respected members of the school community. The board takes its responsibility to treat all employees fairly, professionally, and in accordance with district policy very seriously. At our last meeting, we listened carefully to the comments presented. We did so in good faith, with the goal of understanding the concerns and determining whether there were facts that require review. However, many of the statements shared were based on hearsay rather than verifiable information. Moving forward, the board will not respond to or entertain comments based on hearsay. Our responsibility is to follow established policies and procedures, and that is exactly what we will continue to do. I also want to clarify that no precedent was set at last month's meeting. The individual referenced was not a district employee, but an elected official. And that situation is not comparable to the matter recently brought to us. Additionally, the board will not accept claims that discussions or decisions occurred prior to Tuesday night. That did not, in fact, take place. As we proceed with public comment tonight, we ask everyone engage in a respectful and constructive manner. Obscene language, threats of libelous statements, or comments promoting prejudice will not be tolerated. Personal attacks or inflammatory remarks will be ended by the president. Finally, no district employee or student may be identified or discussed by name or specific circumstance during public comment. Concerns regarding personnel, students, or school matters must be addressed through the appropriate district procedures. These expectations exist to ensure fairness, protect our employees and students, and maintain the integrity of this process. We are committed to listening, but we will do so within the rules that govern this board and protect this community. We ask all speakers to adhere to policy 1230. Comments deemed to be derogatory, inflammatory, or out of order will be cut off. Melody?
Jennifer Spendler.
Point of order, question. So is this modifying the policy, what you just said? This has obviously been drafted by an attorney. Is this modifying the policy?
This is the policy.
No, it is not the policy. Are you modifying the policy on the fly?
No, I'm sorry, it's a statement. It's a statement.
It's a statement. I dissent from this statement. I believe we've always given people the opportunity when people are coming in for the budget. At the finance meetings that were done last year, we let people talk for a long time, and we took everybody, we said whatever they wanted to say. I find this distasteful that you're doing this. Let me finish, Mike. I find it distasteful that you would even entertain the fact to not listen to the public, okay, when they're asking you. I find it distasteful. We pride ourselves on transparency, and honestly, let me finish.
Mr. President, I have seen the motion to call recess used over and over again over the last 6 years to block public discussion. The board goes and huddles. We have a huddle and we talk. That should be in front of the public and cameras.
I am not leaving this table.
Are you going to recess or not? Because my name was called. Hours.
All right,
We have been
Trustee
here.
Harrigan. Trustee McCracken.
Point of order. What is the motion? No.
For public comments? Let us speak for a minute. If we make a mistake, then call us on it.
Point of order. Point of order. The board is discussing.
Got it. I'll be quiet.
What's the motion? What's the motion?
No.
My phone died.
Yes. Trustee O'Connor. Trustee Potter.
No. No.
No.
Trustee Corwin.
No.
Vice President Masato.
As long as you don't say names, that's fine.
No, I listened to the entire
Mr.
meeting
Masato,
twice
please don't bully
from
me.
last night because I was at the varsity basketball dinner and couldn't attend the meeting. So I listened to all of the rules.
I just want to be clear that
I'm
No
not
names,
disrespectful.
no, I'm just
You
saying.
have never
One
seen
second.
me at a meeting.
Let me just speak for
speaking
1
rude,
second.
Ever.
1 second. I just want to say something for 1 second.
What
It's
do
all-
you need to say to me? I'm
I'm just saying, I'm just trying to lay the ground rules of what was just discussed, okay? It cannot have a person's name and anything identifiable. As long as you follow those
Last
rules,
night,
we're fine.
everything that was said
wrong.
was
And that
identifiable.
And that was incorrect.
Point of
Okay?
order.
It shouldn't have happened. You cannot have identifiable information and name an employee.
I
Trying
never
to
name an
protect-
employee in
And
anything
that's
that I
fine.
said.
As long as we understand that rule, that's all we're saying, okay?
Can I talk first? That's it. The first thing I want to say is many of you on this board have students in this school district. Many of you have no students yet in this school district. Many of you have kids that aren't in this school district, and many of you have children that are young in this school district, and you haven't been a part of it yet. You have not lived it yet. Mahopac Central School District has issues, 1,000%. But Mahopac Central School District starts at Austin Road, Lakeview Elementary, and Fulmer Road. I am here tonight as a parent of 4 children that are all in the Mahopac Central School District that attended Lakeview. I am from Virginia. I am not from New York. My husband is from Harrison, New York. We were gonna live in Harrison and live this life. No, I didn't like that. I wanted a community. I came, I went to Yorktown, I went to Lakeland. This isn't BS. I went to Somers, I went to many school districts before we built our home in Mahopac. And you know what? I went to Lakeview Elementary and met with someone that changed my idea of education, that made me realize where I wanted my children to grow up. This person isn't responsible for where my kids are today. This person is responsible for hiring, counseling, mentoring people in this school district that have changed my children's lives. My kids aren't easy. I have 4 kids, and if I said their last name, half of the people in this room would be like, oh crap. I mean, they're not easy. I can't say enough about this school district. I'm a teacher in a different school district, and I think we're great in my school district too, but I have never, ever worked in a school district that worked for 22 years, 4 school districts, in Virginia too, New York too. Never have I ever seen teachers stand up for an assistant superintendent of human resources. Half the time they're against each other. Half the time they're combative. Mahopac needs this person to continue to mentor and help staff, students, mental health, general education, and special education. This person that I'm speaking about sent pictures to countless working parents when we were at work and could not attend events. She cared about our mental health. I have a daughter, I have 4 children. One daughter has extreme mental health issues. This person guided me and showed me the road to not doctors and whatever, other teachers, counselors, people you all have at some point hired who have changed my children's lives. And they're only 15 or the oldest. You can't throw away someone that has been here for 31 years. I'm not from Mahopac. I'm not a Mahopacian like half of my friends. But you know what? I sure hope my kids are. And I sure hope my kids stand up for what is right. My other children may not have faced the same things that my daughter did, but their memories are insane from elementary school.
My son last night watched an entire, partly boring board meeting and said, "Oh my God, how can, she was in the hamster roll, she was this, can I go with you tomorrow?" "No, son, you can't, because it's gonna be 17 hours of whatever." But you know what? My husband said, "We have 4 kids and we have a lot to do tonight, and you have things to do, and you have a job, and you have whatever, but you know what? I want to stand for people that I believe in." And I have never in 12 years in this district ever spoken at a board meeting. I have attended board meetings. I have never sent a letter to one of you. I spoke to one of you at a game and said, "I don't know you from Adam, but I think you were mistreated at that board meeting last month. I don't know if you and I agree on politics, but I think the way people came at you was disgusting. And I stood with you. I don't know him. I don't know what his thoughts are. But I said that quietly and privately in a corner. My children are athletes in this district. My children are not perfect. They're far from it. Principals here included. But they are supported. That's it. And they are supported from the bottom. And the bottom started with Lakeview. I'm done. Okay, thank you.
I am here to speak in support of our Assistant Supervisor of Human Resources in her position. Okay, so I didn't say that. I didn't say the name. Like that hasn't been done? I've been here, I lived here my whole entire life. My mother was a bus driver here for 25 years. I've been employed here for 22 years. I know everything. So, okay, you guys want to shut down what you want to shut down. So, if I could please continue speaking, thank you. She's been a resource for all members of this district, treating everyone with respect, regardless of their role or title. I have also known her before I took the role of presidency in the union, not only as an employee of Mahopac Central School District, but as a lifetime resident. My children have and still go to Mahopac schools, and she has been an employee in the district for over 30 years in multiple roles. In all of these roles, she has had interactions with members of USWAM and has always been compassionate, kind, honest, and has given information needed in different situations. Since becoming president and working closer, she always keeps the district policies and goals in mind while also considering the employee and contractual obligations. To lose someone who has dedicated so much of her life to our district would be a tremendous loss for our employees and our community, leaving a gap that will never be able to be filled. I ask on the behalf of the members of the USWAM to reconsider the decision of tenure. Thank you.
Fran M. I'll come back to you later. Okay. I want to see how it goes. Okay. Mr. Tom Casapria.
Tom Casapria, and as the president of the Association of Mahopac Administrators, I'd like to take a moment to recognize the outstanding work of our Human Resource Department. In a time In a time when school districts across the region are competing for the very best educators and staff, there's leadership that has made a meaningful difference for Mahopac. Through dedication and organization, she's helped streamline our hiring process in ways that allow us to move quickly and efficiently. Because of this, we're able to secure top quality candidates before losing them to neighboring districts, ensuring our schools continue to attract talented professionals who are committed to our students. Beyond recruitment, she's been an invaluable resource for administrators throughout the district. When difficult situations arise, as they sometimes do in education, she consistently provides thoughtful guidance and ensures the proper protocols are followed. Her calm, steady approach helps administrators navigate complex issues with confidence and professionalism. These contributions are more remarkable in the depth of knowledge that comes with years of experience within the Mahopac Central School District. She understands our community, our values, and the standards which we strive to uphold. Her expertise across all phases of education strengthens the work we do every day. Because of her commitment and leadership, our district is better positioned to support our staff and, most importantly, to provide a high-quality education for the students and families of Mahopac.
Lynn Morgan.
I'm actually not here to stand up and talk about anybody. I am here to talk about the proposition for the athletic fields. I know there was quite the discussion about that, and I just want to, I did have a speech ready, but I just want to say, Tanner, I do understand your trepidation in voting no for it, but I also want to say that delaying fixing these fields and the things that are going on within our fields is, in the long run, going to cost our taxpayers more. It will, these fields are disgusting. Right now it's costing us more because we have to go out to neighboring districting schools to play our games because we can't play on our fields. We had to play a playoff game that was our home playoff game at a neighboring district field because our fields were not ready to play on because of the weather. This is safety. This is not about just athletics. I think the proposition for the arts, the clubs, and the athletics all make well-rounded children. That is also part of education. It is not just in-classroom education that makes a student. Everything makes a student. So I do think that while I appreciate you voting no for it, I thank the board for voting this proposition through to let our community vote on the fields and the improvements to the classrooms and the arts and the projects. That's all. Thank you.
Fran Brown. That's it, that's signed up. Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Hold on. Yes, you did. You're right, Adam, you signed up. Okay. Adam Sabino.
Minutes is not a lot of time, so I'm going to rehash one thing I said earlier. I was questioning the superintendent's salary on the appropriations status detail report. It appears that it's like $50,000 more than the previous superintendent, maybe, like around $303,000. Something maybe you want to look into. I'm going to talk about committees quick, because it was a topic from the other night. Previously, we had the format of the board leadership not being on committees, certainly not chairing them. So the body of the board could do the work, and they could sit as ex officio members. That has drastically changed when we have 2 committees chaired by the president, 1 chaired by the vice president, and members of 2 other committees. Actually, 1 committee is president and vice president and 1 other member. So, again, steering things in a certain direction. With that, I remember a specific conversation years ago why we moved from the fall school, because nobody wanted to look down on the crowd, but here we are again. So we see how far that went. In July of 2024, the calculated and systematic disruption and destruction of the Board of Education and the Mahopac Central School District became evident. July 2025, it went into overdrive. When will it stop? When will the smoke and mirrors stop? When will we go back to doing what's right? When will the bullying, the retaliation, and everything, all that goes along with it, stop and just go back to doing what's right? When will doing things for personal political gains or beliefs stop and go back to doing what's right? When will the nepotism and corruption stop? And before we make the faces that we did the other night, let's look at substantiating your claims against me, personally, because it's on camera. When are we going to go back to budgeting to benefit all the students, not just specific groups, special projects, and do what's right? I want the budget to pass, but give me a budget I can stand behind. Give me a budget that makes sense. Taking the money out of this pocket and not this one, what are we doing? You want the budget to pass? I will tell you, the fields outside are hard. They need to go. $10 million? Not so much. But 0% increase, what's that doing down the road? That is something, the fields, the lights that you conveniently buried into needed work for the school. Shady move, in my opinion, right? Things like that is what we have capital reserves for. It's what we save for. We do our surplus for, right? That's what we use it for. Not for padding down the budget so we get whacked years down the road with a 4% increase, right? I do. I want it to pass wholeheartedly. But please, give me something that I can sell and support. Okay? I spent 6 years on the board. I took a lot of heat and a lot of everything else. But at not one point in time did I not do what I felt was right for every kid and every family in this district. Okay? It may not be everybody's opinion. We're not going to agree on everything. We can agree to disagree. But in my heart, I did what was right for the community. Can you all say that what you're doing is right for the entire community? Thank you.
Stacy Biagini.
Stacy.
Good evening, Board of Education, Superintendent Mealy, to all my colleagues, to parents, and to the Mahopac community. My name is Stacy Biagini. I have been a teacher for the Mahopac Central School District for 25 years, as well as a parent of 2 Mahopac students. I hope that all members can be here to listen to what I have to say. May I stand this way so I can?
If you're addressing the board.
I'm only addressing you? Okay. In 2023, I was diagnosed with aggressive breast cancer on the last day of school. One of the first people that I reached out to was the person that shall not be named in the Human Resource Department. For the next 2 years, which included chemotherapy, radiation, and 4 surgeries. She was there to guide me every step of the way. She was professional, kind, and understanding, and I knew that she would navigate me through the medical leave process so that my family and I could focus on my health. She was always a quick email away to answer any questions that I had or concerns, and we are always grateful for her continued support. Just recently, I lost a friend and colleague to pancreatic cancer. During our last conversation, my friend and I spoke about miracles and faith. We also both talked about how lucky we were to work for the Mahopac Central School District. And we both shared that we were blessed to have the person that shall not be named at Human Resources to help us during our worst times. Excuse me. I have recently retired due to my health as I continue immunotherapy, and my friend is now an angel. I know that she would want me to be here tonight to share our common experience with a person that shall not be named. Excuse me. I can only end by asking if this person does not deserve tenure at her current position. What qualities are you looking for to represent our school district and our community? And what reasons could you possibly have not? Or what reasons could you have to let such an asset go? Thank you for your time.
Maybe Donovan?
Good evening. First and foremost, I want to address something that was said earlier tonight. The term short bus is not appropriate. As a mother to a child with special needs, it is called a van. And when language like that is used, especially by a Board of Education, it matters. The words used by district leadership set the tone for how all of our students are spoken about and valued.
Why does it like that? Enough is along with the eyes. Disrespectful.
I'm sorry, just because I'm timed. My name is Kate Donovan. I'm a Mahopac resident for almost 30 years. I'm a proud Mahopac graduate and a parent in this district. I'm here tonight to speak in support of a person who has been a part of this district for many years. She's dedicated more than 30 years to the district, 3 decades showing up for our students, our families, and this community. Tenure is not simply handed out, it is earned through years of dedication, leadership, and the trust of the community you serve. My connection with her actually goes back decades. Her first year at Lakeview, I was a 5th grade student. And the truth is, you don't remember every person you meet in your life, you remember the ones who made an impact, and she is one of those people. Years later, our paths crossed again when I became a parent. My daughter, who has autism, was a COVID kindergartner, and I made the difficult decision to keep her home because I was afraid of regression. When she finally entered in person for 1st grade, our paths crossed again. There was a period of time in school where my child wasn't always seen or understood. But my child was never forgotten by her. Even though my child technically only spent 1 year in the building, she remembered her. She always has remembered her. And not just in passing, to this day, if she sees my daughter in a building, somewhere in the community, she goes out of her way to say hello and give her a hug. That's not something written in a job description, that's who she is. She didn't just spend time in this district, she raised her own children here. The community is her home. People who dedicate decades of their lives to a community, who build relationships that last across generations, and who continue to show up for our children year after year deserve to be recognized and supported. She has more than earned her place here. Mahopac has been fortunate to have a presence in this community for over 3 decades, and I truly hope that continues. Because when someone gives 30 years of their life to a community and its children, that's not just time, that's a legacy.
Marie Franco. Marie Franco. Tracy Casey.
Good evening again. I would like to first speak briefly regarding policy 1230. It states, as you mentioned, no district employee or student may be commented upon or identified by name or situation. Complaints concerning school personnel, students, and school matters should be made in accordance with policy and their implementing regulations. What this means is that you cannot publicly name or single out a specific teacher, staff member, or student when making complaints or a negative comment. If you have concerns about school matters, it should be handled through an official district policy, the formal process to follow, which is usually a written complaint. Positive comments about teachers, staff, and students are always allowed. If we were not allowed to make positive statements, the board itself would not be able to recognize its own staff at meetings like you did so tonight. Allowing these statements ensures we can publicly, celebrate hard work and achievements of staff and students. The statements made tonight are positive and meant to celebrate the legacy of an individual. With that being said, I would like to speak again tonight about my continuing concern. In every role this colleague has held, she has had an exceptional record of service. She has been an invaluable research ensuring policies and labor laws are followed with virtue. Under her leadership, employees are respected and they know they have someone who listens and advocates for what is right. I am profoundly troubled by the timing and impact of this decision. Again, we are welcoming a new superintendent soon. Leadership matters in moments like this, and institutional knowledge matters even more. Removing someone with this experience will leave a significant void at a critical time for our district. But beyond that, this decision sends a message to every employee in this district about loyalty and the value of decades of dedication. It clearly states to us that our service, dedication, and hard work does not matter, and we are disposable. This is not a message our community should be receiving. Decisions like this don't just affect one person. They affect trust, morale, the relationships that hold the school district together. And once that trust is lost, rebuilding it takes a long time to restore. Lastly, it is also important to recognize that it is not common practice for the board to interfere with tenure appointments. The common practice is for the superintendent to decide on these matters. I again urge you to reconsider. Thank you very much.
Fran Brennan.
Excuse me, just one moment before you speak. I just want to comment to what we heard from Ms. Casey. That is what our policy says, complaints, and you're right, we recognize excellence in our district all the time. The only complaints I've heard tonight are against the members of this board, which is
So good evening, board members, Mr. Neely,
So last night, on Tuesday, I was at your meeting, and I wrote up a nice little speech, and the rules changed tonight. So that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to speak, because it has to be factual. I don't have any facts right now, just like you don't. You say that it's a rumor, that we hear that this is going to happen, and at the meeting on Tuesday, it was stated that you haven't even discussed tenure yet. And then somebody else from the board said, you found out about it on Facebook. So I don't know how a room full of people, maybe 30, 40 people, know about it, and you don't. That's a little funny to me. But anyway, I'm a resident of Mahopac for over 30 years. 3 of my children are graduates from the Mahopac Central School District. I'm also an employee of the Mahopac Central School District. I've dealt with the person in question, not mentioning the name, in many aspects. As a parent, my children are in their 30s now, so it's been a long time. And as an employee, I've had situations come up in my life with my family, my own daughter, and she was nothing but supportive and understanding. So, in speaking about the rumor, I was just wondering if, because she was part of the cabinet of the previous superintendent, is why there might be some question. So, I would hope that when the discussion does come up of tenure for this person of human resources, your decision without hesitation is to be granting her tenure. Her time and dedication to this district has to count for something. It would be a detriment not only to the school district, but to the students and the community to lose such a valuable individual. Thank you.
Lynn Monken.
I am just going to refute what you guys said about positive comments, because I'm going to tell you last year, a community member tried to stand up and speak positively about an employee in our district who was being pushed out of our district by previous administration and previous board members, and you all stopped that community member in her tracks and would not let her speak. So you cannot say that you do not allow, that you do allow public comment and positive comment for everyone, because you do not. That is an outright, not truthful statement.
Mary Moriarty.
Okay, that history you were talking about, Voldemort is in 90% of the pages in Mahopac. Putting that out there. Good evening. My name is Mary Moriarty, and I have the pleasure of teaching at Lakeview Elementary School for 33 years. I'm here tonight to lend a voice to the discussion started Tuesday at Tuesday's school board work session. The one in support of she who shall remain nameless. 3 years into my career in Mahopac, I had the honor of working with, say it with me, Voldemort. Back then, she was an elementary school teacher who inherited our multi-age 1-2 program. Please listen carefully to this. It is the God's honest truth. I was there. Because of her creativity and adherence to rigorous educational benchmarks. Who knows that word? Benchmarks. Thank you. Benchmarks. Her program became the premier model of multi-age teaching in 3 counties. Dutchess, we spoke it forward. Westchester, try to break through that velvet rope. And here. Incidentally, it was her multi-age program highlighted in the application that won us the prestigious New York State School of Excellence Award. An award that, in my opinion, solidified Mahopac's excellent reputation while raising our property values and prestige. If you were lucky enough, and I was, to work in her classroom, you experienced firsthand her dedication to our students. It was not magic. It was late nights, eagle-eyed precision, and the knowledge of a child pedagogy that marks her as a teacher of distinction, a teacher we were all very, very happy and gratified to have on our team. Seeking to do more for education here at Mahopac and nowhere else, she took on the role of principal of Lakeview. The 5th grade kids are going to love the fact that Voldemort was once their principal. And little did I know, and this is where I do have to stop joking and get serious, little do I know how profound a role that she would play in my life and the lives of my 4 children. On June 5th, 2017, my husband, and I hope I can use his name, Dan Moriarty, died suddenly and tragically. Dan was a 32-year veteran music teacher here in Mahopac, and to this day, I receive compliments, emails, letters, pictures, everything. I receive all of this on how transformative his influence was on his students here at Mahopac. There's even a scholarship presented each year in his name, inspired by that influence. The September following his death, I thought I was prepared to return to the classroom, disregarding the clear and multiple signs that grief has its own timeline, and my faculty, I'm sorry, I'm almost done, and my faculty and my family needed me. I thought my faculty needed me more. There was one other person in my life who recognized that I was wrong. On a February day, pajama day to be exact, I knocked on Voldemort's door for what we like to call a sit-down. I explained that I needed more time to grieve with my family. The consummate professional, she calmly and compassionately said to me, I was wondering when you would realize this, but I didn't want to push you. And without judgment, granted me my leave of absence. She doesn't know this, but that day, she was my guardian angel. A good principal respects her teacher's abilities and celebrates their successes. An exceptional principal respects her teachers and supports them through the difficult times. An exceptional principal anticipates the needs of her staff while keeping a keen eye on the whole teacher. I personally benefited from that exceptionality. I tell you this story not because it's unknown or foreign to any of you, but because it reflects and illustrates the 31-year example of humanity, grace, and professionalism that she has been for her students, for each and every one of you, and for everybody out here.
It's been over 4 minutes.
All right, let me just finish this then.
Ma'am, it's not fair to everybody else who's been invited to the time limits. You're well past 5 minutes.
All right, children are watching.
Point of order, Mr. President. It's been
Listening
over 4
and
minutes.
comprehending.
I move to extend her time by 2 more minutes.
I'm sorry? Thank you. As you consider the future administration for Mahopac, I implore you to remember my words tonight and consider that your decision sends a seismic message throughout the district, if not the state. We cannot reward hard work and dedication with a pink slip. Children are watching, listening and comprehending your actions. We as educators cannot in good conscience ask our children to do their level best in school, work hard, play fair, and grow to contribute to the greater good if a promised reward is an empty one. I firmly believe that no matter what role she has taken in over the past 31 years, it is her consummate professionalism, integrity, compassion, and grace that earned us the right to call ourselves a New York State School of Excellence. I sincerely hope that you will realize how fortunate we are and that she does just this every day she's here.
Okay, we have 5 more minutes. Does anybody else would like to come up and say something? Resident comments? Okay, yes, who's your name, please?
Siobhan Mussolino. I haven't been, I think this is my second board meeting I've ever been to. Both my girls graduated, starting Mahopac first grade, all the way to high school. And I didn't know who we were talking about, but I think I figured out who the person is. And if we're talking about that person, I want to say she was excellent. When my girls went to elementary school and I had an issue, she was always there to greet me. She was always there to solve the problems. I really felt the connection. And when you feel connection with a principal like that, it's just unbelievable. And she was just unbelievable. She was there for me. She was there for my children. She's there for her students. And when you see that, I don't even understand why we're not naming her, because we are complimenting her, we're honoring her, and her name should be named. We're not disgracing her or anything. So anyway, my heart goes out because she's affected me in such a long time, because my girls are like 21 and 26. And she's touched my heart, as she's touched many of the people's heart here. Their children, the community, and also too, I want to thank you for tonight, because you really opened my eyes. I might be at home, but I'm going to come to these board meetings, and I'm going to be educated. Integrity and honor the people of this community and your children and our children. And I just thank you very much.
My name is Megan Wasotsky. I am a teacher in the district. I'm also a resident in the district. I'm a parent. Just back to the budget. Since I have worked in Mahopac and lived in Mahopac, I believe there's been at least 2 budgets voted down. And I hate the instability that it creates and the uncertainty that it creates for everybody. It creates a divide. And my concern is, I know that with the proposition, there's all different ways of putting it up, but from my recollection from previous budgets that were voted down, some of it was because of a proposition. So if a proposition is voted down, this is my understanding, correct me if I'm wrong, if the budget is even approved, if the 0% is approved, but a proposition that's on that budget vote is voted down, that means the whole budget is voted down, correct?
So it's each line. So we start off with the budget.
Right. And I understand, like, that's on the front, right? So you vote that, but
Yeah, so then it goes to the second proposition, and then the third one. And what you really have to do is you want to you can't pick and choose. It's one, and then you can't say, all right, I want to do 3, and then.
So all the propositions are voted together.
But it's in a row.
Okay.
They're all voted on separate.
So say it's like A, B, C, and D, right?
But you have to pass A to get to B to get to C.
So my next question is, where does the one that seems to be most controversial fall? Like, is it in the middle?
The last one.
It's the last one. So the others can pass, and that could fail, and we would be okay with everything else.
Absolutely.
Okay.
So
that's what I wanted to
putting it
understand.
back. Yes, it's.
No, I understand, but I
back
just
the
wanted to
voters.
understand the order of it, because I've seen
Yeah.
things get voted
Yeah,
no.
you can't vote for A. or
But it
one,
will
you
be,
go to six.
it will be the
No,
final
it's-
item on propositions, so it doesn't have to, okay, okay, that's great.
But the nicer part is it goes back to the voters, and that's really what it's all about, right?
I
It's
just
all
want,
about-
I want to
it's all about
understand
people
what I'm
weighing-
voting for, and when people ask for advice, are we voting yes, are we voting no? I want to know what I'm saying, I want to be educated.
I absolutely agree, that's why.
So, can I make a very brief comment?
All right.
Very brief
No,
comment, Mr. President, one brief comment. Proposition 1, Proposition 2, Proposition 3, they're all independent. They're not linked. 4, 5, and 6, which are the propositions to get a bond approved, they are linked. In order to get 5 passed, 4 has to pass. In order to get 6 passed, 4 and 5 have to pass. But 1, 2, and 3 are completely independent. So the the budget, the main budget, that's independent. And the buses, independent. Not everybody understands this, Mike. And the third budget, and the third one, which is the capital reserve, is separate. 4, 5, and 6 are linked. 4 has to pass before 5. 4 and 5 have to pass before 6. If anybody has any questions, I'm going to stick around and you can ask me, okay? Thank you.
Thank you for the clarity. All right, that said, can I get a motion to close the meeting, please? Oh, it's 9:45. There's one more comment. Yeah, we're done, so.
Tough comment.
Motion closed,
That ever
please.
happened?
I'd like to make a motion to extend public comment. This is something we were talking about having a limit that we said we would extend if people wanted it, and I'm motioning to extend it by another 15 minutes.
I second.
Roll call vote on the motion to extend.
I have a point of inquiry for the trustee who motioned.
Yes.
Extended for how long?
I'm sorry, I said 15 minutes.
Okay.
Roll call vote on 15 minutes.
Trustee Harrigan? Trustee McCracken?
Yes.
Trustee Iacona? Vice President Massafra? I propose 5 minutes. We were here the other night till 11:30. President Logan?
I'll do 15. Doesn't matter to me. I'm fine with it. Go ahead, Kyle, what do you got?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carries.
Okay. Come on up.
Okay. Good evening. My name is Jennifer Telesco. As I mentioned on Tuesday night, I'm a proud parent of a student at Lakeview and a student at Mahopac Middle School. I want to thank you for the opportunity to speak at Tuesday's work session and for your attention while I spoke. I had a few additional thoughts I wanted to share after listening to the remainder of the work session. Regarding the proposed capital projects, I was pleased to see the investment in maintaining and repairing our school buildings. I'm sure the Fulmer community will be thrilled to see their playground redone. I've always been a strong supporter of our capital projects, and I can see how Proposition 6 for the new baseball field would be a significant upgrade. As a lifelong Yankee fan and former softball player, I know how exciting an upgraded field is for student athletes. However, I'd like to ask that when you consider future projects, that you keep the performing arts in mind. As a new middle school parent, I was shocked to learn at orientation that the middle school lacks an auditorium. The student performers deserve facilities that match the high caliber of athletic fields. Perhaps that's a want and not a need, but I felt it was worth mentioning. Now turning my attention to the reason for my visit on Tuesday, I won't repeat my previous statement, though I stand by every word. But I must share how touched I was by the overwhelming support shown for a beloved member of our school community. My attendance at the work session gave me a lot to think about. As a person, I always try to give the benefit of the doubt and look at all sides of the situation. But after listening to the many testimonials, I find it difficult to understand how the board can justify denying tenure to a beloved member of our school community. The arguments made by various individuals will fill with sentiment, but perhaps more importantly, rationality, character, and truth. And again, tenure given not once but twice is not an accident or an oversight. I urge you to listen to the voices of the people who turned out both Tuesday and this evening. For me, this isn't about a popularity contest or personal sentiment. It's about doing what is right and what is best for the long-term stability of our school district. Thank you for your time and the opportunity to speak.
Thank you for your time and attention. I spoke at the working meeting, so I'm not going to reiterate what I stated there. It's recorded. You can watch it over and over again. And my opinion has not changed. It's actually enhanced since hearing all the lovely stories about the one who shall not be named. What I wanted to address today, again, I wasn't planning on speaking, but I'm ever so moved to it every meeting I attend because I am blown away at the occurrences that are happening before me. I strongly question the integrity and prioritization of the decisions being made from the board, rumors and actual. I want to address the budget. If we go to a 0% levy and deplete our reserve and pass these propositions, we are going to be in a serious deficit in coming years, both as taxpayers and for future projects. I'm going to be voting on none of the propositions, even if it's budget neutral, for the simple fact that I have to make a statement for special education. Shocker, I'm sticking up for special education. I feel that the words that have been said this year, the actions that have been taken, the committee that has been created, quote unquote, with a gun to people's heads, is a facetious meeting that is not resulting in any actions. When I have had multiple conversations and committee meetings and emails about the things that need to be done in this district, both reflected in the audit that was truthful reflection of what our staff and our district and our students needs, not one item is on any of those propositions, not one. I'm a sports mom now because we pushed for unified sports, so putting money into fields would behoove me if my kids have access to that. Whatever we want to do in this district, I've said for 6 years, it has to be accessible and equitable. These propositions are not equitable. The scales are tipped greatly in one direction, no matter what proposition you pick. And I thank Superintendent Mealy for going around and telling the schools and the administration and to our faces that special ed is not in charge of special ed and everything else is everything else. This is not reflecting his message. I urge people to look at the propositions. Look at the audit that we did. We're setting up our new administrator of special ed for failure because we are not supporting the projects that need to be done with this current budget, with future budgets because we deplete the reserve. You're not listening to what the staff is begging for. They are begging for training, for professional development that is robust. We need to bring in outside members to come in and teach us. For example, we brought up a program from NYU that's accredited to teach and touch the entire district about neurodiversity training. Students, staff, bus drivers, everyone that works in this district will be trained on the same level to interact and have positive social emotional learning. It's $165,000. Where is it? That's a drop in the bucket to a $10 million project, but that is not on this proposition or anywhere. I have lost complete faith in this district because we're being told we're listening, we're doing it, and nothing is happening. So if we approve these propositions, 15 years we're going to be paying for all these. When are the projects that really need to affect 25% of our community? 25%. And every year the rate of special education students is rising by 2 or 3%. We are not investing in our most vulnerable, largest population in this district. I have no reserve to keep anything bottled up anymore. I just want to finish the statement. It has been no bigger proof than than what has occurred tonight on this stage, that we need neurodiversity training because of the ableist derogatory comments that come from the people that are making these calls.
Trustees, thank you for your time. I know you've had a long day. I have two questions, and they're interrelated. The first is relating to how the former superintendent was relieved of her duties in a non-transparent and swift way. I think the community deserves an update on how the superintendent's search is going, how many applications, what's the process, are we working with BOCES? I learned tonight that the current superintendent interim is being paid over $300,000. That's in addition to the $1 million we spent removing the former superintendent before her contract was due. I think the community deserves an update because I don't know how we do an effective superintendent search with a gutted human resources department.
We're right on schedule with the superintendent search. Just follow through the website, is always updated, and we'll have the superintendent search ends next month. Right on schedule. Right on schedule. Right on schedule. Okay. It is. What else you got? Who else? 4 more minutes. Who else wants to get up? Are we good? All right, very good. I'd like to thank everybody for coming out tonight, and can I get a motion to close the meeting, please?